The interview is being shot in Kensington House, and the producer is on the second camera. There are 3 people, a producer doing the sound as well. There's Martin, there's the cameraman. You are waiting for the phone call. Everybody's phoning you, Tony Hall, others, and you can't say anything.
No, Tony Hall never phoned.
No?
No.
Tony Hall's representative, Richard Eyre, phoned.
Tim Gardam, who's the head of Current Affairs, he phoned. He phoned quite early.
Yeah.
He phoned about 9:30, which I thought was a bit... They only went in at 7, I'm thinking, well, you know. Anyway, he phoned about 9:30, getting slightly jittery, if anyone knows Tim. Tim, when he's jittery, he's... Anyway, he was getting slightly jittery. Clearly, he could see this as a career-ending event. I mean, for him, I mean. But anyway. And then, anyway, so it's a sort of... It went on through the evening. And eventually... I mean, I don't know what anyone up the chain was thinking, but even I was getting slightly jittery by midnight. And I got a call from Mike Robinson, the producer, who said, he said, sorry, I've had to switch the phones off and this, that and the other. We've been drinking champagne with the princess, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he said, look, he said, I think you've got a film. So they came round to my house in Shepherd's Bush and we chatted about it. And I remember this really, really distinctively. And I feel so made up. I'm thinking, bloody hell, you know, we've got the interview. The journalistic world, collectively, would give most of their arms and legs, all of them, to get this interview. And we've bloody well got it. And it was an extraordinary feeling. Anyway, they left the house about 1 o'clock, after had a cup of tea, and they went off to Brighton, to Eastbourne, to check in and get it all sorted out.
And then you all go, Tony Hall, others all go down to Eastbourne.
There's one moment I must recount to you, which is that the minute they left the front door, the bottom dropped out of I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. Because I thought, it'll be The only thing worse than not having this interview is it'll be fawning nonsense. So, and then I think, oh, because weirdly, I thought, I felt that could be career-ending, actually. Anyway, it wasn't, as it
So then you have the viewing. They all go down to the viewing. You start to watch, and you told me the story before, but everybody starts with here, right, to make notes.
I'll tell you, in the room, I'm sure this is known. In the room, there's Tony Hall, there's Richard Peel, who runs the Media Society now and was the director of comms and whatever. There's Richard Eyre, who was controller of editorial policy. There was Tim Gardam, and there was me, Martin, and Mike, and the editor. I think that was about it. Anyway, so we start the programme, and I've seen it. We've already recut it once. So anyway, we start the film, and they're all sitting there with their papers out. Tony Hall, they're all scribbling. And after about 3-4 minutes, they start one by one. They go. And one by one, they stopped writing, their mouths dropped open, and there was not a murmur in the room. So the whole thing, it went on. It was a rough cut, so it was about an hour and 5 minutes, something like that. Anyway, we get to the end of it, and no one says a word. Richard Eyre winked at me. Nobody says a word. I mean, we're talking about pregnant pauses. It wasn't quite 9 months, but it wasn't far off it. It went on and on and on and on. And eventually, Tim Gardam said, well, he'll never be able to marry Camilla now. which A, turns out to be complete nonsense. B, sounded so amazingly erudite. It was one of those moments in which I was forcibly reminded of a deep-seated question, and it had always been there, about why these extraordinarily capable, intelligent people aren't running the country rather than working in television. But anyway, there you go.